Morning, welcome back to the second week of the digital tour, which is exciting. And I'm joined with the lovely Sarah this morning. I'll just let Zoom do its thing and let everyone in. And I'll go through the boring housekeeping bits as always. If you're in the chat, let us know where you are, what's the weather like, where you are, what business you have, anything. It's nice to get to know people. So the session will be on record as usual. We will send the recording out at the end of the week for people to catch up on. If you would like to put any questions in through the session, do put them in the Q&A box rather than in the chat, just because it's a little bit harder to keep up with. And if you need closed captions at all, you can turn them on at the bottom of your own screen, whether you're watching now or on replay later on. And then a big thank you as well to BT Digital Skills for always supporting the digital tour, because we couldn't do it without you guys. It's so nice to see so many people joining. I think everybody's in. So if you're all ready to go, Sarah, I'll pass over to you, and I'll join back on at the end to do some Q&As.
Lovely, thank you. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now, and thanks everybody for joining today. It's lovely to see so many people in the chat and see so many people that I know as well, which is lovely. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm leading today a webinar on living well, leading well, how to thrive whilst managing chronic illness. And before I start, just want to let you know that I've got a bit of a cough. So if I do have to cough, I'm very sorry about that. But I'm hoping I can get through it without having to take too much of a break. So fingers crossed for that. But lovely to see everybody. Thank you very much for joining. So I'm going to start with my story, where it all began. One cold morning, back in December 2019, I woke up in absolute agony. I just couldn't move my right arm, and every time I tried to make it, I'd get a shooting pain down my shoulder, which was absolutely unbearable. And I just couldn't move. I already had a frozen shoulder in my left arm, so suddenly I couldn't move either shoulder. I couldn't even get myself dressed. My 4-year-old daughter at the time, she had to help me put a coat on top of my pajamas. And my friend took them to school while I took myself off to the hospital, where I discovered that I had chronic bursitis caused by doing too much repetitive movements. I have Ehlers-Danlos, so I have to be quite careful with my joints. I had thought originally that I might have dislocated it, but actually it was doing repetitive movements through my business that I ended up causing myself this injury. And what I had been doing was I was running my first business, which was a natural skincare business where I was making my own products. And it was a time of Christmas fairs. So I had a brilliant Christmas fair planned for the Saturday, and this was the Friday. And I had spent all week doing repetitive movement of putting oils and different ingredients into bottles and bags, and had just not really paid attention to my business, to my body. I could feel aches and pains. I knew that I was overdoing it, but I was struggling to sort of really pay attention to what was going on and just kept pushing myself through it. And I ended up on strong painkillers, was told to rest, but went ahead with the Christmas fair anyway. Can't remember much of it at all. I was in so much pain and so many painkillers, but I did the fair, and then I spent Christmas trying to recover. And at that moment, I promised myself that I wasn't going to keep working in that way. I knew that I had a chronic illness. I knew that I wanted to run a business, but I had to find a way to run my business in a chronic illness friendly way. And so that's what I resolved to do. And the first thing I did was think about, there must be other people in the situation. A lot of people with chronic illnesses can't work a 9 to 5. So I thought running a business is probably a good solution for a lot of people with chronic illnesses. So there must be other people. But I started searching and I couldn't find any support anywhere. I went to coaches and mentors, and some of the advice I was getting was going to put my health at risk. So I decided to resolve to do something about it and set up the Entrepreneurs Against the Odds Facebook group to try and create a community of other people who were experiencing what I was experiencing. And over the last 6 years, it's grown into a wonderful community where people support one another. And I've seen some amazing friendships taking place off screen as well as on screen, which has been wonderful. So I'm just going to take you back another step of my business journey. So I had my successful career as a management consultant, ended up bedbound for about 3 months when I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, and literally took some time off work, and then my body just collapsed and I couldn't get out of bed for about 3 months. Started to make some small steps forward, but it wasn't until I got diagnosed with POTS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that I started to really understand what was going on in my body and was able to put some steps in place. I started my first business. As I mentioned, it was making my own skincare, running workshops, teaching other people, and making kits that children and adults can make their own skincare products as well. And it's then that I found that I was having a health impact. I hadn't paid attention to how to run my business in alignment with my health. And I needed to reassess it. I think running a business where I involved lots of standing when you have pots wasn't my best idea. But I learned so much from running that business, and I learned what worked well with my illness and what didn't work so well as well. Obviously it had that health impact, and so then I determined to find a chronic illness way of working, and I've spent the last 6 years doing that, having lots of conversations with people to understand what worked well for them and what didn't work well for them, and then trying to come up with strategies that can help other people to run a business in a chronic illness friendly way. So my business was born out of necessity but became my purpose. So what I wanted to do was find a way to work with my health and not against it. I knew that I wanted to be able to make a difference. When I lost my career originally, I found that I lost my identity and I lost my sense of purpose. And for me, I wanted to be able to find some sort of purpose in my life once again. So starting a business gave me that impact, that way of making a difference, which really helped me and my health as well. I often think running a business can be really positive for somebody with a chronic illness because it gives you that sense of purpose, that reason to get out of bed, that reason to focus on something other than your symptoms. So for me, running a business has been absolutely amazing. And for people that I work with or people that I speak to, that seems to be a common story as well. And I also wanted to find something that gave me time control over my time and energy. So running a business enables you to do that if you do it in the right way. I think when you're working for somebody else, you have very little control over your time and energy. And often when we start a business, we take a lot of the rules that we are given about how to use up our time into our business. I had somebody that I was mentoring who she sat at her desk every single day, 9 till 5, and was really struggling to make any progress with her work. And we looked at how she was working and what her energy levels were like, and determined that actually first thing in the morning wasn't good for her. So she changed her way of working and started work later in the day. And suddenly she was getting a lot more work done because she was working in alignment with her health. And so I think sometimes we have to look at what society expects us to do and then question that and see whether that actually works for us and our health. And if not, we can change it. We don't have to run business in the way that we're told. We can run it in a way that works for us. So now I'm a business owner and a mum of 2 girls. I have POTS, Ehlers-Danlos, chronic migraine, chronic fatigue syndrome, and several digestive issues as well. But life is really great. It's very interesting. I'm also a Purple Tuesday ambassador. One of my craziest moments was seeing my face on the big screens at Piccadilly Circus for Purple Tuesday a couple of years ago. One very cold Tuesday morning because it's Purple Tuesday back in November a couple of years ago. So that was a real key moment for me. And I love the sea. That's where I get all of my best ideas. If ever I'm feeling stuck in my business, or I need to think about strategy, or I want to come up with a plan, I take myself off to the sea, whether it's raining, sunny, still, or crazy calm, crazy wind. I love being by the sea, and it makes all the difference. As I mentioned, I run Excel Against the Odds, where I provide mentoring support and a membership for business owners with chronic illnesses to help people to find a way of running their business in alignment with their health. And I also host the Entrepreneurs Against the Odds Facebook group, just trying to bring together a community of people who experience the same challenges as each other. I also host the Excel Against the Odds podcast, where I interview my guests who all have chronic illnesses about the successes and challenges of working with a chronic illness. I was part of the Small Biz 100 in 2021, which is when I became part of the Small Business Britain family, and they've very kindly invited me to many events since then. And I am very proud to have been a steering board member of the Lilac Review. I'm sure a lot of people on this call have heard of the Lilac Review, but just in case you haven't, um, Small Business Britain worked alongside, well, they led this review alongside some big corporate organisations, and it was backed by the government to look at trying to remove the inequalities faced by disabled entrepreneurs. And that has been absolutely amazing to be a part of that, to try and really make a difference for disabled entrepreneurs. So today in this webinar, we're going to cover three main topics. We're going to look at ways that we can protect your well-being and energy when you're running a business, how to adapt your work and leadership style so that you can really thrive, and how to redefine success on your terms, because we all have different definitions of success. We want to make sure that you're defining success on your own terms, not on terms spoken about by society. So, the challenge: how to balance your business and your health in a way that really works for you so that you can thrive without compromising your health. So in this first section, we're going to look at steps that you can put in place to manage your energy and well-being whilst running a business. Running a business can be hard on both your physical and your mental health. And so it's really important to keep your well-being and energy at the top of your mind when making any decisions in your business. When I started my business, I had to completely reimagine how I thought about energy. It's not about time management, it's about energy management, and there's a clear distinction between the two. Throughout my career, I've been really focused on time management. So my main thoughts were how to maximise the amount of work I could get done in any given amount of time. However, I started to find that that wasn't really working for me. Some days I was super productive, and other days I would struggle to even reply to an email. And that could change throughout a day as well. So sometimes in the morning I really struggled to do anything, whereas in the afternoon I did have energy and I was able to get a lot done. So I had to really think about what was driving that and what I could do about that. So I soon realised that it wasn't an issue of my time management, but I needed to explore my energy management and see how I could make adjustments so I could work around my energy levels. So you've probably heard that phrase that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But the truth is, we don't all have the same energy in the day, so we definitely don't have that same time available to us. And we've got to remember that and also show ourselves kindness about that as well, because I think it's really hard not to beat ourselves up when we can see other people achieving things in a way that we are not able to. So we can see somebody creating a piece of work in a couple of hours, and it might take us a lot longer than that. Understanding our own energy levels. And one way you can do that is to carry out an energy audit, where you track your energy levels over the day and month, and also look at what activities drain you and which ones energize you. So what I would recommend doing is keeping a track of your energy levels at different points of the day. To start with, if you can do it, maybe doing it on an hourly basis, setting yourself an alarm on your phone, and then just every hour checking in, how are you feeling? How are your energy levels? And then you can start to get a much better understanding of when to do what in your business. So you can start to see that, for example, you might have times when you have better energy for doing more intense work, and better other times when you have better energy for doing more creative work, and other times when you've got very low energy, but you've still got enough energy to work, but you want to do tasks that are less draining. So maybe things like replying to emails or replying to social media comments, for example. You can also start to get a picture of what might be draining you as well. So when you're taking a note of what your energy levels are like, think about what tasks you're doing at that time. Are you finding them energizing, or are you finding them draining? And then start to build up a picture of what to do when. So if you find that you have a low energy first thing in the morning, but maybe about 10:30, you start to get some better energy levels. You might want to spend the morning replying to some emails, and then at 10 and getting some rest, and then at 10:30, that's when you want to do all your strategic work, where you want to do some planning, or you want to do that more detailed work, which is going to get your business moving forward quite effectively. You might find then that you have a dip around lunchtime, and again, you might want to take a rest at that point, or you might want to do some less energy concerning tasks. And then mid-afternoon, you might again find that you have some creative energy, which has been a good time to create some graphics or record some videos. So start to really look at your energy throughout the day, but also think about it during the week as well, because we often don't feel the same on Monday morning as we do on Friday morning, because throughout the week, we might do different things that drain us or energize us. So start to think about that during the week and also around the month as well. And it's also worth taking into consideration all seasonal changes, because a lot of people with chronic illnesses find that their illness changes with the seasons as well. Some people thrive in the heat, but other people find it incredibly draining. And the same with the cold, the wet, winter, and everything like that. So start to think about that as well, because once you understand your energy levels at the different seasons, you can start to plan things like launches or when you're going to be doing different aspects of your business as well. So you want to start building up this really big picture of you and your health and how your business can fit around that. And that's what we mean by strategic energy, is really understanding that we can work our business around our energy levels. You will discover soon that you will need to protect your peak energy for your productive work. And for most business owners, we find that everything is urgent, but actually we want to start thinking about planning our time and our energy much better. So rather than focusing on scheduling our energy, rather than thinking about scheduling on urgency, we want to schedule around our energy levels instead. So that's definitely something to really take away and think about, is understanding your energy levels and how you can plan your business around that. If you've got any launches coming up, is it worth trying to think about the right time of year for you to do them? What time of day is best to do it if you're doing lives? What time of day is best, time of the week is best to do it as well if your energy changes throughout the week? Another thing to consider is recovery as well. So now you understand what drains you, you can plan your recovery much more effectively. I've learnt the hard way that sometimes you can't just keep pushing yourself through. When I was running my skincare business, I was making up orders and then going to go to a craft fair without taking time to recover before and afterwards. And that would then leave me drained for a whole week afterwards. And what I learnt was that if I took time beforehand to rest and get that recovery period in, then after the fair, I felt much better and didn't need to take so much time off to recover. So understanding our energy levels and building in that recovery time can be so important. The truth is, recovery isn't optional, it's strategic. And it's really important to build that into all our business plans, particularly if you're in a busy period of your business, if you're doing a launch, if you are delivering workshops, if you are creating a new product. You need to make sure that you're putting time in to recover so that you don't have to take time off when you most want to be working. Make sure you plan in rest time before and after an energy draining activity or task. It's also really important to maybe plan in some micro recovery techniques throughout the day as well. So I think a lot of us will sit at our desk and just keep working, but we need to start listening to our body and understand what it's telling us. And then putting plans in place in our diary to have that recovery, because it's so easy to get distracted, get carried away with a piece of work we're doing and not think about our health and our well-being. So I always recommend putting time in your diary every single day to do those things that make you feel better. So it could be something like breath work, just taking 2 or 3 minutes to do some deep breathing. This is something that has really worked well for me. I'd like to do an exercise where I breathe in for 4 and then breathe out for 7 or 8 and just repeat that for about 3 or 4 minutes. And it just really helps me to tap into my, calm down my nervous system, so that I can then work much better for the rest of the day. Even planning in things like lying down for 10 minutes That's something that's particularly useful for me with having POTS and for people with chronic fatigue syndrome. That lying down just makes it easier for your body to run properly. So having 10 minutes lying down a few times a day can just help your body to start working properly again. Maybe trying to get some gentle movement. You don't have to do a lot of exercise, but just even shrugging your shoulders, moving your shoulders around, moving your neck, gently stretching your legs and your arms can really help. Just planning that into your diary can really make a big difference. And if you can, just getting outside in nature, go and sit in your garden for 5 minutes, go for a little walk if you can. Just trying to get outside, get some fresh air and maybe some sunshine on your face if it's not a day like today where there's definitely isn't any sunshine in sight at all. So building recovery into your business model is something you can do as well. So for example, if you are running your business, like you might be running it on a one-to-one business model where you've got back-to-back calls working one-to-one with people and you just cannot fit in time to do that recovery, then it might be worth looking at your business model to see if there is a way of adapting that so you're not constantly working one-to-one, that maybe you're working one-to-one some of the time, but you have another offer as well. So you don't have to be constantly on and that you can take time to recover throughout your day as well. So it's definitely something to explore. It's something that I help my mentees with quite a lot, is looking at business model to make sure that it's friendly for people with chronic illnesses. So now, once I understood my energy and what affected my symptoms of my chronic illness, I needed to rethink what effective leadership looked like for me. I think a lot of us have an idea of what a leader should look like. We have this myth of the always on leader, where we think that you have to be constantly working on your business for it to be a success. And there's a lot of that information out in the world as well. There's a lot of talk about the hustle, about always pushing yourself, about being on all the social media all of the time, about producing multiple offers in your business. But it doesn't have to be like that. It's important to think about what leadership means for you and how you want to turn up in your business in a way that works with your chronic illness as well. So we want to redefine what showing up in your business means for you. So here we can redefine leadership. Leadership is not about working all the hours. What we want to do, rather than working all the hours, is be focused when we are working rather than trying to be constantly working. And that means listening to your body. So I don't know about you, but I've certainly found in the past that I have sat at my desk, I've had it on my plan, I was going to write a blog or write a newsletter or write a new sales page. And I am not feeling great. I can feel in my body that my energy is low. I've got a bit of pain. I'm really struggling in that moment. And I will sit there and try and write what I'm trying to write. And it will literally take all day. And by the end of that day, I'm feeling exhausted. I felt like I've just been working all day. And then when I look at what I've written and what I've produced, it's just not the same quality that I would expect of myself. And I often find I have to rewrite what I've already done and then also spend the next day recovering because I've pushed myself to try and do something when I've not been able to do it. So another alternative to that, which I found has really worked for me, is when I'm feeling that way, when I've got that low energy and I'm really struggling in my business, rather than forcing myself to do something just because it's in the plan, I think to myself, actually, today's probably not the best day for me to be approaching that piece of work. So instead, I'm going to take time to do other less demanding chores. So things like I say, like replying to emails or contacting people or doing something else that isn't so draining for me. Also taking time to recover as well, so making sure I have more of that recovery time, that I'm listening to my body, that I'm doing things that I really need to do, and then coming back to it maybe even later in the day if I start to feel better, or even the next day if necessary. And what I find is that suddenly the quality of work that I'm producing is so much better. Rather than taking all day to write the piece that I'm trying to write, it's taken under an hour. And the quality is so much better than the time when I tried to spend all day doing it, because I'm focused, I've got the right type of energy, and I'm not being distracted by pain. So that's been a really useful lesson for me to do that, because it also means that then my health is better for the next few days as well. Another thing to look at is the fact that your impact is much more important than your availability. So rather than feeling that you have to be available for your clients at all time, understand that sometimes if you are available less time, you can have greater impact when you are available. So preserving that time for your rest and your recovery, and then making sure that when you are available, that you are very focused and that you're able to deliver that impact that you want to, is so rewarding as well. So think about whether you need to be available all the time, and we'll talk about boundaries a bit later as well. And then the other thing that we can look at is the fact that actually quality is so much more important than quantity. If we're producing a very high quality newsletter once a month, then that's better than trying to produce a newsletter every few days that isn't such a high quality newsletter. So thinking about, do you have to do all the things that you feel that you need to do? Same can be for social media as well, rather than feeling that you have to produce content multiple times a day, and maybe that's impacting the quality of your social media. Thinking about how you can be quite strategic in what you produce so that every time you produce something, people want to see it, that they want to listen to you if you're producing a reel, for example, that actually it's really high quality. And that will have a better impact on your business than trying to do everything for everybody at once. So think about where quality can be more important than quantity in your business. It's also important, sorry, I've gone the wrong way in my slides. Don't know why I'm going the wrong way. No. If you've got a team, it's really, or if you outsource, or if you've just got friends and family who are brought into your business, it's also really important to feel that you can ask for help when you need it. Keep them informed of your health and how you're feeling. And if you need time out for recovery or you need any extra support, then don't be afraid to ask. I think we often feel that because we have a chronic illness that we sometimes have to cover that up, and we feel that asking for help is a sign of weakness. But actually, if we take that time and ask for the help when we need it, it's a sign of a good leader, somebody who knows what their business needs in order to make it a success. So never be afraid to ask for help. My slides are moving the wrong direction, sorry. I said systems. Systems are so important when you have your own business, particularly if you have a chronic illness. And this is a really important step to put in place when you have a chronic illness as well. I used to spend hours sending emails back and forth trying to book appointments. So if I was trying to book a party when I was running my first business or workshop, the emails back and forth would take forever, and it would be quite draining. I would write emails from scratch for every interaction. So a new client would get a fresh email, and I would be writing things, always trying to think about what I needed to write, and it would be a different process for each client. So every client had a different experience of working with me as well. What I learned was how important it was to get systems in place. It feels like a big step at first because it can be very time consuming building the systems. But actually, once they're in place, it makes life so much easier. So it's worth taking some time in your business or getting somebody else to take time in your business to help you set up those systems. And I'm a huge believer in systems. I have everything now running like clockwork, which is amazing. So this matters when you have a chronic illness because you have less time and less energy. So if you can spend less time in your work doing admin, it gives you more time to make sales, more time to deliver to your clients, and also, importantly, much more time to get rest and recovery. The other thing it's why it's important is because it can be quite difficult to make decisions when you've got low energy. I definitely feel that if I'm having a bad health day or if I'm tired or low energy, making a decision can be very, very difficult for me. It can take so much longer than it should. So having processes in place that can take those decisions away from you can also really, really help. It can also mean that you make better decisions as well because it's based on a process as opposed to in the moment as well. So examples of systems that I use in my business, I have a calendar booking link. So if somebody books a one-to-one mentoring call with me, for example, I don't get involved at all. They can come to my sales page, they can pay and order their one-to-one session, they can then automatically get sent an email welcoming them as a new client. They get sent my calendar link where they can see my availability, and then they can book that link. They automatically then get sent out a Zoom link and reminders on that as well, and I get sent the reminders and get to put it's already in my calendar automatically as well. So that suddenly frees up so much time doing that. They also have client onboarding systems as well. So for new members who join my membership, they automatically get sent emails with their membership login details and any reminders, and give at various different points in their journey, they'll get sent an email asking them to do something or getting a reminder of what they need to do. And they also get prompted after a certain amount of time to give me a testimonial as well on how well it's going for them, or give me feedback on things that could improve. So I don't have to get involved in any of that. If I had to think about, oh, I'm going to ask that person for a testimonial, I would probably overthink it and then think, oh, maybe I shouldn't be asking them that. It feels a bit awkward. Whereas if it happens automatically in the business, then it takes away that thought, and takes away any concerns that I might have around that. Having things like decision-making frameworks can also be useful. So, for example, if you get invited to lots of events, having a framework that you've put together about what's important for you in your business means that you can then refer to that framework and see whether that event meets those criteria. And if it doesn't, that's an automatic no to going to that. Whereas if it does, then that's a yes. It takes away any of the emotions that you need in dealing with your business. And then finally, having things like communication templates can be very useful as well. So when you have a new client, or if a certain situation happens with a client, you can have templates in place that can automatically send something out. So in the membership, I have templates where if somebody, for example, if you're having a really bad health day and it's going to affect working with a client, there's a template already made where you can send it out to them to let them know that you're unable to support them on that day, and this is the reason, and we can reschedule when I'm feeling better. And it just takes away the pain. So if you're having a really bad health day, you don't want to be thinking about how to put an email together, because you will overthink it. There'll be some decision making fatigue in there, and you probably won't write a particularly good email. So having templates for every eventuality in your business can be really useful. You just have to then personalize it, which you can do using a mail system anyway, and put specific details in it. So if you know that you're going to be late in delivering a piece of work, you can say how long you expect it to take, or where you are currently at. So having that creates so much freedom. It means that you're working with your condition and not against it. So putting systems in place can be incredibly beneficial in your business. The other thing that's really important is having boundaries in your business. And I know a lot of us just want to say yes to everyone and everything and be helpful and do the best that you can. But actually, it's not great for you or your health or your business to just to say yes to everything and not have any boundaries. Boundaries equals reliability. If you're able to protect your free time, if you're able to protect that time when you need to rest and recover, if you're able to make sure that you're not doing too much at any one time, you're going to be so much more reliable, because it means that you are able then to deliver what you have planned already. Boundaries, you need to have clear communication around your boundaries. So having that set up already, thinking about the boundaries, planning what you're going to say can be very important as well. Boundaries can also make you very professional. If you have set hours of working, that does actually look professional, as opposed to being available at all time. And it makes it sustainable as well. It means that your service is sustainable, your business is sustainable, because you're not pushing yourself too hard. So I've set up lots of boundaries in my business around the times that I'm working, about how many people I will see in one day, around how quickly I will reply to messages. And it just really helps. So you can set up things like auto responders in your email to say that you might not respond immediately, or that you might take you 2 to 3 days to respond. You can set out information on your website about the hours that you work. What's important is how that you communicate those boundaries professionally, and that you are clear on what your boundaries are and that you actually maintain them. Because if you say one thing but then you don't actually respect your boundaries yourself, then that's giving a very mixed message. So if you say that I don't reply to emails after 5 p.m, but then you're writing to your clients at 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're going to then expect you to reply at 10, 11 at night going forward. So having a clear understanding yourself of your boundaries and making sure that you do respect those can be very important. It means that your boundaries improve your quality and your reliability as well. So it's not a bad thing to have boundaries in your business. It's actually incredibly beneficial. And some examples are you could have something that says, I work Tuesdays to Thursdays and I respond within 24 hours of receiving an email. Or that I only take meetings between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. because that's when my health is at its best. I can't be anywhere at 9 a.m. because my health isn't going to be, I'm not going to be able to turn up in my best way at that time of day. Or it might be that you need to take breaks between clients to deliver quality. One of the ones that I have is that if I'm going to be doing a talk, then I need to be seated. I'm not ever going to stand and do a talk because that would just impact my health too much. So thinking about what boundaries you could have in your business, what is important for you and your health, and then sitting down and writing down those boundaries, and then making sure that you're communicating them to your clients and that you're sticking to them as well, so that it's always very clear what's going on. Now we're going to look at how to redefine success in your business as well. At some points, various points in my business, I've thought to myself that I'm really not cut out to running a business. That managing business with a chronic illness meant that I'd always be second best. It felt that my business would negatively impact my business. But what I hadn't realised is actually that my chronic illness could actually make me a better entrepreneur. Chronic illness can often feel that it's only a negative thing, but actually, we learn so much from having a chronic illness. It can be incredibly beneficial for our business and for our clients that we have that experience, that we have learnt from difficult moments, and that we can then apply that in our business as well. And I think sometimes we're really hard on ourselves about our chronic illness, and it doesn't affect our clients in the way that we think it does. So if we go back to looking at boundaries, we might think that having those boundaries in place is negative for our clients. Actually, nearly all clients respect your boundaries and are happy for you to do what you need to do in order to deliver a good service. We'd never question people like Netflix or Boots for their boundaries. If they say they're closing their shop at 5, we're happy to be pushed out that door. So it's understanding that actually having those boundaries because of our chronic illness doesn't make them a bad thing. It actually makes us a better business owner. And a lot of what we've had to live through having our chronic illness makes us particularly good entrepreneurs. And we really do need to remember that. Managing chronic illnesses teaches us so many things. We learn very quickly how to prioritize our time. So it means that we know what is important to work on and what isn't so important. And that can be so beneficial in our business and also for our clients as well. Having chronic illness teaches us resilience, and resilience is such an important trait of any business owner because things go wrong in business all the time, whether you're healthy or not. So the fact that a lot of us have built resilience through living with chronic illness is so important as well. It can be such a great trait to have. Also helps us to develop empathy and understanding. We know what it's like to have challenges in our lives, and so we're much more likely to be empathetic and understanding of other people having challenges, whether that's a health challenge or any other challenge that they might be experiencing. It enables us to be more strategic in our thoughts as well, and also creates a lot more adaptability. We've had to learn how to live with our chronic illness and change our lives to suit our health. And that adaptability can then be transferred into our business as well. Rather than being soft skills, these are actually business superpowers. All of these things that we are taught by our chronic illnesses makes us superpowers in our business. So don't be afraid that your chronic illness will negatively affect your business. Actually, it's going to give you so much more great things for your business as well. Finally, it's really worth looking at your ecosystem as well within your business. The isolation of being a small business owner, plus the isolation of having a chronic illness, can mean that you are very much working on yourself and that by yourself, and that can really have a negative impact on your well-being. So it's important to look at how you can build a support system around you. As I say, one of the first things I did when I realised that my health was impacting my business was try to get support, which I couldn't find. So then I created my own ecosystem by building the Entrepreneurs Against the Odds Facebook group, because I knew it was really important for me to be surrounded by people who really understood what I was going through and weren't going to criticize me for some of the decisions that I was making about my health. When I Before I did that, when I was looking for support, I had a business coach who criticized me for some of the ways that I was working. I had an example where I was going to launch the kits in time for Christmas so that people could build their own bath bombs and lip balms. And she wanted to know when I was going to launch it. And I explained that I was going to have a soft launch. I wasn't going to give myself an exact date, but at some point during a sort of 4 week period, it was going to happen. I wanted to make sure that everything was in place, all my social media was in place, that the products were as good as they could be, so that when I actually launched them, it wasn't going to be too draining for me. So I said to her it's going to be a soft launch, and she gave me a massive lecture about the fact that that wasn't good enough, that my business was going to be a failure because I wasn't taking control of the business, I wasn't giving myself a hard deadline. And at that point, I knew she wasn't the coach for me. I also had various other experiences in similar ways where people were telling me how to run my business, which just wasn't going to work for me. So being certain about who you're surrounding yourself with, making sure that they're people who really believe in you, who understand your challenges and want to support you in a way that works for you and your health. As I mentioned earlier, having people around you where you feel that you can ask for help is so important. It's a leadership strength to ask for support when you need it. And having that community and connection can really make a huge difference in your business as well. So trying to find people who get it, who really do understand what you are trying to achieve in your life, and what you want to get out of your business can be really important. And particularly if they can understand your health challenges as well and are able to offer support and understanding and empathy when you need it most. So do have a think about how you can get the support that you need and build your own ecosystem that really does support you. If you can find a group for people with chronic illnesses, then even better. I would actually add a caveat in that I know that some of the chronic illness groups aren't always so positive, so trying to find yourself a really positive space can be really important as well. Back to my story. Remember my cold December morning when I couldn't move my arms? Now I still have hard days, but I also have a business that works with my reality, not against it. I have clients who get my best work because I've learned to work with my energy and not fight it, and have a life that feels sustainable. I've built an ecosystem around me that really supports me, and I have made so many friends throughout my journey as well. Living with chronic illness doesn't make you less capable, it makes you more strategic, more thoughtful, and more human. So embrace that. Be proud of who you are and enjoy running your business with a chronic illness. So I'd love for you to take away a couple of things from today. I'd love for you to think about mapping your energy levels, maybe for a few days, just to note when you feel more capable and when you're running on empty. That'd be a really good starting point. And think about your ecosystem as well. Who can support you? Who can you surround yourself with? Who's going to help you on your journey, not hold you back? So there's a QR code here and the link to the Facebook group Entrepreneurs Against the Odds. If you're not already a member, I'd love to welcome you there because it is a really friendly community. And as I say, I've seen so many friendships develop as a result of the group, which has been absolutely lovely. And then I've also put together a workbook for business owners with chronic illnesses as well, where we look at things like boundaries and energy levels as well. So if you want to download that, then please feel free to take a copy of the QR code and download it as well. It's just quite useful if you want some extra support. It's fully, you can write in it and take whatever notes you need to. So that's my email address. Please feel free to contact me. And thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really lovely to chat with you all.
Thank you, Sarah. That was such an amazing session. It's so nice to see everyone in the chat like supporting each other, and it clearly really resonates with everyone. There's just loads of back and forth through it the whole time, which really, I don't know if you have the chat on because sometimes it's a little
I
bit
haven't had a chance to see
distracting.
it.
Yeah, it can be a bit distracting when you're trying to do the talking as well. But everyone's really loved it. There is a couple of questions. If anybody has any others, if you want to pop them in the Q&A. But one of the first ones was, do you have any tips on how, when it's a good idea to start to like push yourself a little bit further, like to build up your stamina, energy wise? Like, is there any indications that you have yourself?
Yeah, yeah,
To,
I think it's really about listening to your body. So when you are feeling that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is working for you, then it's worth trying to add a little bit more. Just a little bit, not too much, but just to slowly build up that stamina. You don't want to overdo it at any point. And if you build something up and then you find it is negatively impacting your health, then not to be afraid to take that step back again. It's not failure, it just means maybe you need to take it a little bit slower. So keep trying, keep adding things, listening to your body, really keeping track of what's going on with your energy levels and how it's impacting you. And then, if necessary, taking a step back if you need to.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it might be a little bit trial and error as well, mightn't it? Like
Definitely.
try something a little bit different. If it doesn't work, you can go back to what was working.
Yes, very much so.
Amazing. There's another one. So there's a couple actually to do with not necessarily for your just your own business, but any tips with dealing with employees when looking for work. Someone said they haven't heard anything back since last March. And someone else said that they are getting not a lot back because they can't commit to the full-time hours that a lot of jobs obviously ask for or expect.
Yes, it can be very, very difficult for employees. And it's something that I'm trying to work with corporate organisations to enable them to be much more friendly towards people with chronic illnesses. I think it's something that is very overlooked within the workplace. And I've had conversations with employers who say they don't have anyone with chronic illnesses. And like, if you've got 500 people in your organisation, then you will have people with chronic illnesses. And the problem is that people aren't telling you because they're afraid to talk about it. So for an employee who's struggling, so someone who's trying to find work, I think looking at companies who are on the disability confidence scheme might be a good place to start. Organisations who've joined the Valuable 500 are also a good place to start because they have shown publicly that they want to support disabled employees. So it's definitely worth exploring those sort of companies to see whether they might have spaces open for you. It's very much personal choice if you want to disclose that. I know some organisations, if they are disability confident, they will give you a guaranteed interview if you do meet the minimum requirements of a job proposal. So if that's the case, then if you disclose your condition, then they will guarantee you an interview, which can be quite useful as well. And then looking about whether there are organisations offering part-time work if you aren't able to work all the hours. Sometimes it's easier to get that once you're inside an organisation rather than trying to sort it out beforehand. But definitely, there's definitely more things happening. There's some really great disabled friendly recruitment organisations now. Even Break, Patchwork Hub are two that come to mind at the moment. So maybe exploring what jobs they have on their boards as well to see if they can be of any help.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because then there's like almost like a middle person to kind of do the maybe what difficult part of trying to put forward what it is you can do if someone else is kind of doing that bit for you. Um,
Absolutely.
there's a couple of people asking for the link for the group. Just if you could pop it in the chat, we can send it out as well when we send the replay out to join yours. There's a lot of people asking for that. Then we had a couple saying, was there any advice for how do you balance your home life alongside with your responsibilities for your business and not just the business side?
Yes, it can be challenging as well, definitely. One thing that I found really helpful is, for me personally, is explaining the spoon theory to my children. Because if I used to find that if I was saying that I'm tired, they didn't really get it. Whereas if I say to them, I explained what the spoon theory was, and I'll say now to my children, "Oh, I've not got any spoons today, or my spoons are really low." It seemed to resonate a lot better with them, and they would understand that. So my children now of an age where they are able to understand that. I think from about the age of about 6, that seemed to work. But again, try not to overcommit. So if I know that I've got busy time with the family, trying to take time off work. So for example, if I know that I need to go to a school event after school, then I try and have some recovery time during the day so that I can make sure that I've got enough energy for that. And I think having a business as opposed to working for someone else can be really useful in that, because you can pick and choose when you're working. So trying to really see the family and the business as one whole, and then planning your time around both of them rather than just your business time and then your home life, trying to create a whole picture and making sure that it all balances out as much as possible.
Yeah, almost like put the two together so you can see what you're doing for both.
That's right.
Amazing. And then the last one. So someone said that a lot of their work is seasonal and around school holidays. Have you any tips on how to best manage that, as it's like in a big chunk, I suppose? They are going to build in the boundaries and breaks, but anything else that you maybe had?
Fabulous. Great about the boundaries and the breaks. That's so important. I think doing any prep you can during the non-busy time is so important. So try, if you've got any social media or anything like that you're doing, trying to build that all up prior to the busy period, so that when you've got your busy period, you're literally just focusing on what you have to deliver, so that any other admin is done at other times of the year. I think trying to is that preparation can be so important, and then leaving anything else that comes up until after that busy period as well. So knowing that you have those times when you're going to be focusing purely on the administrative things, and building up a bank of emails or newsletters or social media, so that when you're actually in that busy period, all you have to do is focus on the work that you are doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even like scheduling social media and stuff these days, that can help if you've got like a bit of time where you can do that.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been great.
Well,
Thank you everyone for attending as well. It's been lovely. Everyone's really been chatty in the chat. It's been really nice to see. Big thank you. And for anyone who is joining some of our other webinars, we will see you on another one, same time, 11 o'clock every day of the week.
thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.